You know, this, the traffic patterns here in this public patch generally are pretty heavy for most times of the day here. We are now at about, 10:36, 10:37 here, and we're not doing too bad here in terms of southbound traffic. So here he is southbound. He's just past Sunset Boulevard, and he's going to be making his way down towards Getty Center Drive southbound on the 405. And, you mentioned... You had mentioned that CHP was taking over the pursuit, and we can verify that. Look at those two cruisers right behind him. So the LAPD appears to have backed off, at least from the immediate vicinity, and a couple of CHP cruisers are now involved in the immediate pursuit here. And so there they are, southbound on the 405, another half mile or so. They'll be coming up on Getty Center Drive. Beyond that, Sunset Boulevard. So just looking ahead at traffic conditions here, it's pretty much the same as what you see it here. We may have a little bit more congestion as we leave Getty Center Drive over to Sunset Boulevard, but overall, the 405 South is pretty much like you see it, so he is basically going to be able to negotiate his way in and out of traffic should he decide to do that. So, Frank, just off your right. And so he is basically going to just be able to kind of make his way and weave in and out and, stay free from capture, at least if that's what he intends to do.
Yeah, Mark verifying for us that CHP has taken over the pursuit. It started with LAPD on this person's tail. Speaking of CHP, we have Saul Gomez on the phone with California Highway Patrol. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
What are you able to tell us about this? Because we have very little detail. All we're hearing is that it's a stolen vehicle. Are there any more details that you can provide us with?
Well, at approximately 10:13 this morning, LAPD notified us that they were in pursuit of a stolen Nissan Pathfinder. It appears that this stolen vehicle, this information came about through the LoJack system, and that vehicle, they attempted to pull that vehicle over. Subsequently, that vehicle fled and entered the freeway, which was at the 118. They traveled westbound on the 118 and eventually made their way to the 405 freeway. At the moment, we know that there is one occupant definitely, which would be the driver, and we don't know if there's anyone else inside the vehicle, as the vehicle has tinted windows. It's very difficult to see at the moment, so we will have the corresponding number of units for officer safety, of course. The vehicle is traveling southbound, and LAPD pursued it all the way to about the 101, which is when we took over the pursuit at their request.
And then you took over at that point. Do we know if it's a male or female driver?
We don't know at the moment whether it's a male or female. We're still trying to ascertain more information from LAPD, from those units that initially started the pursuit. And once we get that information, we'll make it known.
And I can imagine CHP officers, this is something that they have to take into account, whether or not this person is armed and dangerous. Do we know that?
We don't know that. We don't know that. We haven't had any reports, but when we're in these situations, we always expect the worst. And as a result of that, our officers will take appropriate action according to what they see on scene. They're the ones that are going to be able to determine what is the best course of action. Now, in this situation here, we're traveling southbound. Speeds have varied from 70 miles an hour down to 35 at some point, depending on traffic conditions. We're going to take into account public safety, number one, officer safety, and of course the safety of this occupant as well with our actions.
Now we're seeing a maneuver by CHP at this point, getting closer, kind of approaching the driver from the side of the vehicle. What are some of the tactics, and I'm sure they vary and depend on the situation, but when you're on a freeway or when you're on side roads, is there a different tactic that you would use on a freeway when he's moving at a very high speed?
Yes, there is going to be different tactics. I can't go into the specifics of the tactics. However, I can tell you that we use different tactics, whether we're on the freeway, whether we're on the streets, and we'll utilize the equipment that we have at our disposal via, whether it's a spike strip, whether it's a pit maneuver, whether it's channeling the vehicle. We have different things that we can do. When we decide to utilize any of these tactics, we're going to take into consideration public safety and what is that going to do. How is that going to put the public at more risk or less of a risk? And we're going to make sure that this is done properly in accordance to policy and, of course, taking safety into consideration.
We're just getting a report, actually, that CHP is saying this person may be throwing money out the window. It's kind of a little difficult to tell from our vantage point. It looked as though something was being thrown out the window. Are you hearing anything like that?
That is correct.
Okay.
We were advised by one of the units that it appears the suspect is throwing money out the window. how much money we don't know at the moment, but he's still traveling southbound at approximately 65 miles an hour. So you can imagine that any actions by the driver, similar to throwing money out the window, is definitely going to affect traffic conditions.
Of course. Did this stem from a bank robbery, or is
we
this...
don't
Okay.
we don't believe that it stemmed from a bank robbery. We do know that that it stemmed from a LoJack. This is according to CHP, LAPD information. That's the information that was provided to us.
And I know you touched on public safety, and I think a lot of people wonder about this. Here in LA, we see police pursuits so often. Why do you pursue? In some instances, let the individual go until they get to a location and then, get them there, as opposed to going on these high-speed pursuits where, the public can be injured or hurt?
Well, that's a great question, and whether or not we continue to pursue a suspect all depends on the situations. It all depends on the traffic conditions. It depends, how much danger is involved in this. Inherently, there is a danger in pursuing a suspect. However, our officers are highly trained, and we have policies in place that'll minimize the exposure that we put the public under. Danger exposure, that is. And if we feel that a situation warrants us to back out of the pursuit, then we will do that.
Okay,
the best person to determine that will be the officer on scene.
Okay, we appreciate your expertise so much, Saul Gomez with CHP. Let's go up to Mark Kona, where it appears it's come to an end. Mark, what exit is this, and what can you tell us?
Jessica, as you were watching here, southbound side of the 405, he kind of darted over to the right to make this exit here. This is the Pico exit, southbound side of the 405, and right when he was trying to negotiate over towards the front of the line there, they were instructing the CHP guys that this would be a great time to pit him, and so that's indeed what they did. You saw him spun around there, and now he is basically coming out of the car, hands up, walking backwards as per the orders of the CHP officers there, and they want to see his hands up. They want to know exactly what he's doing, where he's going, and so they are going to control every aspect of this arrest here that they can. We're going to move a little bit here so we can actually get that telephone pole out of the way, but there you go. This will likely be coming to an end here very shortly. Now, we don't know if anyone else was in fact in the vehicle at this point. We will definitely know that over the course of the next couple of minutes here as they take this guy into custody here. They'll have a secondary scene, a secondary team approach the vehicle here and basically clear it. There you go, officers, CHP officers approaching that Pathfinder, their guns drawn, and they're going to look through all the windows. They're going to open the liftgate just to make sure that no one else is in there and basically clear the vehicle. And it looks like that's what they have done. It looks like this is the only guy who is in that vehicle at this point. So he has been taken into custody. We also did hear, Jessica, that that this guy was throwing money out of the window along the 405 southbound there. And we did see, his hands outside the window, and it looked like he was gesturing or throwing something. Whether or not that was money has yet to be confirmed. But yeah, we also did hear that he was throwing money out of the Pathfinder as he was traveling southbound along the 405. But there you go. This pursuit comes to an end. This guy is going to be taken into custody thanks to the quick work of both the LAPD as well as the CHP here, pitting him right at the end of the Pico off-ramp southbound side of the 405.